Rome is the capital city and most populated municipality or commune in Italy. Rome is also the third most populous city in the European Union and the 14th most visited city in the world in 2019. Its historic center is listed by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. In addition, Rome is often referred to as the City of Seven Hills due to its geography, and also as an eternal city by the ancient Romans, because they believed that no matter what happened in the rest of the world, the city of Rome would always remain standing. Furthermore, Rome is generally considered to be one of the cradles of Western civilization and Western Christian culture, and the center of the Catholic Church. Exploring the city center by foot surrounded by glorious monuments and colossal remains takes you back in time to the glory that was Rome. Rome's history spans 28 centuries. While Roman mythology dates the founding of Rome at around 753 BC, the site has been inhabited for much longer, making it a major human settlement for over 3 millennia and one of the oldest continuously occupied cities in Europe. The city's early population originated from a mix of Latins, Etruscans, and Sabines. Walking through Rome is not just about touring an ancient city full of archaeological remains. Rome reminds us of gladiators fighting for life and death in the Colosseum, chariots racing in the Circus Maximus, and the sight of Roman sages strolling through the Forum while discussing democracy. After the fall of the Roman Empire and the transfer of the imperial capital to Constantinople, the Pope gained power. Until 751, when it was invaded by the Lombards, Rome was part of the Byzantine Empire. In 756, Pepin the Short granted the Pope power over regions near Rome, giving rise to the Papal States. The development of ancient Christianity made the Bishop of Rome both religiously and politically important, and established Rome as the center of Christianity. The unification process of Italy started in 1848 and ended with the creation of the Kingdom of Italy in 1861. Since Rome was under control of the papacy, Florence was made the temporary capital of Italy. In 1870, Italian troops entered Rome, ending more than 1,000 years of papal control of the city, and Rome was declared the new capital of Italy. However, the Pope did not accept the unification of the peninsula and took refuge in the Vatican until February 11, 1929, when the Lateran Treaty was signed by Mussolini and Pope Pius XI, creating the Vatican State. Mussolini and the National Fascist Party, allies of Nazi Germany, marched into Rome in 1922 and came to power in the country, declaring a new Italian empire. In the years following, many monuments, buildings, and streets were restored, and Rome became the administrative capital. During World War II, Rome was hardly bombed compared to other cities. This was largely due to the Americans not wanting to destroy Rome, because in its center was a neutral Vatican City, and Pope Pius XII, who remained in the city throughout the war. Finally, on June 4, 1944, Rome was taken by the Allies. During the 50s and 60s, a period known as the Dolce Vita, meaning the sweet life, Rome became a very fashionable city, and in the 1980s, the population grew to 2,800,000. Today, with more than 16 million visitors a year, tourism in Rome is unstoppable. It's the third most visited city in Europe, behind London and Paris, making a high contender for the most romantic city in Europe. Rome's historic center still reflects its colorful past. Visitors will find traces of ancient Rome, Renaissance palaces, fountains, piazzas, Baroque churches, and other architectural styles dating from the 19th and 20th centuries. Having said that, the Colosseum, the Spanish Steps, and St. Peter's Basilica are always at the top of the list of things to see in Rome. Vatican City, officially the Vatican City-State, or Vatican, is a landlocked sovereign state and city-state. It is an enclave within Rome, seat of the Catholic Church, and serves as the administrative center of the Catholic Church. It became independent from the Kingdom of Italy in 1929 with the Lateran Treaty. Vatican City is governed by the See of Rome, commonly known as a Holy See, itself a sovereign entity under international law, which maintains its temporal power, governance, diplomacy, and spiritual independence. Vatican is also used as a metonym for the Holy See, which is a central governing body of the Catholic Church in Vatican City, comprising the Pope and the Roman Curia. The Roman Curia is the administrative institutions of the Holy See and the central body through which the affairs of the Catholic Church are conducted. With an area of 49 hectares and a population of about 882 in 2024, it is the smallest sovereign state in the world both by area and by population. It is among the least populated capitals in the world. The Papal Basilica of St. Peter in the Vatican, or simply St. Peter's Basilica, is a church of the Italian High Renaissance located in Vatican City. It was initially planned in the 15th century by Pope Nicholas V and then Pope Julius II to replace the aging Old St. Peter's Basilica, which was built in the 4th century by Roman Emperor Constantine the Great. Construction of the present basilica began on April 18, 1506, and was completed on November 18, 1626. Basilica of St. Peter's Dome was designed by Michelangelo Buonarroti and completed by Giacomo della Porta, who worked on it day and night with 800 workers for 22 months between 1588 and 1590. Climbing the dome of St. Peter's Basilica offers visitors an extraordinary view of Vatican City and Rome. The main level of St. Peter's Basilica is a unique testament to Renaissance architecture and Christian faith, with its 22,000 square meters of flooring. St. Peter's Basilica is the largest place of worship in Christianity. Inside, it houses artistic and spiritual marvels, such as Michelangelo's Pietà and Bernini's Baldachin. The vastness and beauty of the sacred space remind us of its significance as a global religious landmark where art, history, and devotion converge. Built between the late 16th and early 17th centuries, the Vatican Grottos are a vast area located beneath St. Peter's Basilica, housing a complex of chapels and tombs of popes and other ecclesiastical figures, which we did not have an opportunity to see during this trip. It is believed that the Apostle Peter, the first pope of the Catholic Church, is buried there. St. Peter's is famous as a place of pilgrimage and for its liturgical functions. The Pope presides at a number of liturgies throughout the year, both within the Basilica or the adjoining St. Peter's Square. These liturgies draw audiences numbering from 15,000 to over 80,000 people. To the east of the Basilica is the Piazza di San Pietro, or St. Peter's Square. The present arrangement, constructed between 1656 and 1667, is a Baroque inspiration of John Lorenzo Bernini, who inherited a location already occupied by an Egyptian obelisk, which was centrally placed in Maderno's facade in 1586. St. Peter's Square is famous for its elliptical colonnade consisting of 284 columns arranged in 4 rows, symbolizing the embrace of the Catholic Church. In the center of the square stands an Egyptian obelisk surrounded by 2 fountains. Those who enter the square are welcomed by the statues of saints that decorate the 2 monumental hemicycles and facade, ideally connecting heaven to earth, the celestial church, and the pilgrim church in the world. The Roman Forum is a rectangular forum or plaza surrounded by the ruins of several important ancient government buildings at the center of the city of Rome. Citizens of the ancient city referred to this space, originally a marketplace, as a forum magnum or simply the forum. For centuries, the forum was the center of day-to-day life in Rome, the site of triumphal processions and elections, the venue for public speeches, criminal trials and gladiatorial matches, and the nucleus of commercial and legal affairs. Here, statues and monuments commemorated the city's leaders. The heart of ancient Rome. It has been called the most celebrated meeting place in the world and in all history. Located in the small valley between the Palatine and Capitoline Hills, the Forum today is a sprawling ruin of architectural fragments and intermittent archaeological excavations, attracting 4.5 million or more sightseers annually. Unlike the later imperial fora in Rome, which was self-consciously modeled on the ancient Greek public plaza or town square, the Roman Forum developed gradually, organically, and piecemeal over many centuries. This is the case despite attempts, with some success, to impose an order there by Sulla, Julius Caesar, Augustus, and others. By the imperial period, the large public buildings that crowded around the central square had reduced the open area to a rectangle of about 130 by 50 meters. Its long dimension was oriented northwest to southeast and extended from the foot of the Capitoline Hill to that of the Velian Hill. The Forum's basilicas during the imperial period, Basilica Aemilia on the north and the Basilica Julia on the south, defined its long sides in its final form. The Forum proper included this square, the buildings facing it, and sometimes an additional area extending southeast as far as the Arch of Titus. Originally, the site of the Forum had been a marshy lake where waters from the surrounding hills drained. Because of its location, sediments from both the flooding of the Tiber and the erosion of the surrounding hills have been raising the level of the Forum floor for centuries. Excavated sequences of remains of paving show that sediment eroded from the surrounding hills was already raising the level in early Republican times. As the ground around buildings rose, residents simply paved over the debris that was too much to remove. Its final Travertine paving, still visible, dates from the reign of Augustus. Excavations in the 19th century revealed one layer on top of another. The deepest level excavated was 3.6 meters above sea level. Archaeological finds show human activity at that level with the discovery of carbonized wood. An important function of the Forum during both Republican and imperial times was to serve as a culminating venue for the celebratory military processions known as triumphs. Victorious generals entered the city by the Western Triumphal Gate and circumnavigated the Palatine Hill counterclockwise, before proceeding from the Velian Hill down the Via Sacra and into the Forum. From here, they would mount the Capitoline rise up to the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus on the summit of the Capitol. Lavish public banquets ensued back down on the Forum. The Colosseum is an elliptical amphitheater in the city center of Rome, just east of the Roman Forum. It is the largest ancient amphitheater ever built, and is still the largest standing amphitheater in the world, despite its age. Construction began in AD 72 under the authority of Vespasian, the founder of the Flavian dynasty, and was completed in AD 80 by Titus, the son and successor to Vespasian. Final touches were added to the Colosseum during the reign of Domitian in AD 82. The three emperors were known as the Flavian dynasty, and the amphitheater was named the Flavian Amphitheater by the classicists and archaeologists. The Colosseum is built of Travertine limestone, tough volcanic rock, and brick-faced concrete. It could hold an estimated 50,000 to 80,000 spectators at various points in its history, having an average audience of about 65,000. It was used for gladiatorial contests and public spectacles, including animal hunts, executions, reenactments of famous battles, dramas based on Roman mythology, and briefly mock-sea battles by Emperor Titus. The building ceased to be used for entertainment in the early medieval era. The rise of Christianity makes the games fall out of style, and the last gladiatorial fight takes place in AD 404. By AD 523, the last stage hunt, or venatio, is recorded. It was later reused for such purposes as housing, workshops, quarters for a religious order, a fortress, a quarry, and a Christian shrine. Although substantially ruined by earthquakes and stone robbers taking spolia, the Colosseum is still a renowned symbol of imperial Rome and was listed as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. It is one of Rome's most popular tourist attractions and has links to the Catholic Church. As each Good Friday, the Pope leads a torchlit Way of the Cross procession that starts in the area around the Colosseum. because of the ruined state of the interior, it is impractical to use the Colosseum to host large events. Only a few hundred spectators can be accommodated in temporary seating. However, much larger concerts have been held just outside, using the Colosseum as a backdrop. Performers who have played at the Colosseum in recent years include Ray Charles, May 2002, Paul McCartney, May 2003, Elton John, September 2005, and Billy Joel, July 2006. Rome has more places to visit than just the main attractions like the Colosseum, Roman Forum, St. Peter's Basilica, St. Mark's Square, and the Vatican Museum. It's a city full of museums, historic squares, unique monuments, rich food culture, other landmarks, and highlights. Here are other attractions we visited during our recent trip, including Piazza Navona, Piazza di Monte Sidorello, Trevi Fountain, Pantheon, and Piazza della Rotunda, monument of Vittorio Emanuele II. Castle San Angelo, also known as a Castle of the Holy Angel. There are more attractions that we did not have time to cover during this trip, including 1. Galleria in Villa Borghese, 2. Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore, 3. Sites of Trastevere, 4. Spanish Steps in Piazza di Spagna, 5. Archbasilica di San Giovanni in Laterano, 6. Via Appia Annica in Catacombs, 7. Piazza del Popolo, 8. Domus Aurea, 9. Palazzo Colonna, 10. Basilica di San Clemente al Laterano, 11. Capuchin Crypt, 12. Domus Romae. An easy way to discover much of Rome landmarks is by bicycle. Rent a bike or e-bike yourself, or even better join guided bike tour to hear interesting stories about the history of these landmarks. In addition, there are many day trips where one can easily undertake from Rome, including 1. Old Roman harbor town of Ostia Antica, 2. The small town of Castel Gandolfo next to the beautiful lake of Lago Albano, 3. Visit Villa d'Este and Villa Adriana in the town of Tivoli. Rome has a wide variety of city passes to save money or fast-track tickets for attractions and museums. Here are some selections to consider. 1. Rome Tourist Card. 2. Rome City Pass. 3. The Vatican City Pass, 4. Roma Pass, 48 hours or 72 hours. 5. Vatican and Rome Omnia Card. 6. Rome Travel Card. In addition, it may be better to buy separate tickets if you only want to visit a limited number of attractions. The Vatican Museums are the public museums of the Vatican City. They display works from the immense collection amassed by the Catholic Church and the papacy throughout the centuries, including several of the best-known Roman sculptures and most important masterpieces of Renaissance art in the world. The museums contain roughly 70,000 works, of which 20,000 are on display, and currently employ 640 people who work in 40 different administrative, scholarly, and restoration departments. Pope Julius II founded the museums in the early 16th century. The Sistine Chapel, with its ceiling and altar wall decorated by Michelangelo, and the Stands di Raffaello are on the visitor route to the Vatican Museums, considered among the most essential and influential and distinctive works of Western and European art. In 2024, the Vatican Museums were visited by 6.8 million people. They ranked second in the list of most visited art museums and museums in the world after the Louvre. There are 24 galleries or rooms in total with the Sistine Chapel, notably being the last room visited within the museum. There are a lot to see at the Vatican Museums. Thousands of people visit the Holy Enclave every day and miss many of its treasures. In terms of highlights, you should definitely include, but not limited to, 1. Stop to admire the huge Roman bronze Pinecone statue in Pinecone Courtyard. 2. Visit the Raphael rooms to see the Italian master's frescoes and workshop. 3. wanted a golden gallery of maps to admire stunning 16th century cartography. 4. Find Caravaggio's famous depiction of the deposition of Christ in the Pinacoteca. 5. See works by Van Gogh and Rodin in the collection of contemporary art. 6. Look up at the Sistine Chapel ceiling and look for the creation of Adam, as well as walk the Vatican Museum's famous spiral staircase on exiting the museums. 2 hours is the minimum amount of time you'll need to see some highlights and have a good long look at the Sistine Chapel ceiling. October through April is the low season, so things are a little quieter and maybe the best time to visit the Vatican museums. In addition, on the last Sunday of each month, the Vatican Museum is open to the public for free, but should expect to wait in line for many hours. This concludes our Rome presentation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next episode.